units, we've got an active shooter situation at Perry High School.
Our band teacher looked at us and he just goes, "Run."
Investigators believe he planned the attack after he and his younger sister suffered relentless bullying.
I've been going to that school my entire life, and those kids would do horrible things to him.
We're told the harassment was reported to the school officials, but nothing happened, and Butler was fed up.
How many patients do we have on scene?
We have 2 in our truck. Reports of multiple inside.
Dan Marburger, one of the 6 victims in yesterday's school shooting. Marburger is the principal at Perry High School.
But my son's life gets taken at school? How does that make sense?
Butler was armed with a pump-action shotgun, a small caliber handgun, and an improvised explosive device.
The day is Thursday, the date January 4th, 2024, and it couldn't be a more peaceful morning in the state of Iowa. A slight chill hugged the wind, swaying through the trees as the morning rays peek over the horizon. Winter break was over, and the new school term was scheduled to begin that morning. No one could have ever fathomed the horror and terror awaiting to ensue at the premises of the Perry High School in Perry, Iowa. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, Perry has about 8,000 residents and is about 40 miles northwest of Des Moines, on the edge of the state capital's metropolitan area, a small and tight-knit community. But those ties were about to come loose by one 17-year-old student by the name of Dylan Butler. At around 7 a.m., everyone in the Butler household was under the impression Dylan was fine. They would get into their vehicle, and even on the way to school, his mother, Erin Butler, recalls Dylan had been discussing his future plans, and it felt like he was ready for the start of a new semester after Christmas vacation. Within the next hour, however, she would come to know just how wrong she was. At the same time Dylan is on his way to school, there is a breakfast program scheduled at the school cafeteria. The layout of the school is situated in such a way that the middle school and high school are combined on one campus, but separated, with the common area being the cafeteria. This would be crucial in the events to come just a few minutes away, especially for one 11-year-old boy who would become one of the targets of a heinous act. Dylan and his sister were dropped off at school and wished well by his mother. His sister went her way and Dylan went the other. He would text one of his friends, letting them know he was doing fine, a lie that would soon become apparent in the oncoming chaos.
One friend says he messaged her minutes before the shooting.
He said that he was fine and he was okay, he was all good.
With a blue duffel bag in his possession, he went to the most isolated place he could think of, the school bathroom. While the students and staff present were none the wiser to his plans, Dylan was building up his resolve to commit to what he set out to do. On a Discord account, under the username Took Too Much, he posted to a group of friends saying he was at school and ready for what's to come. Looking back, the name itself of his account was telling of the mental state he was in. 10 minutes later, at around 7:30 a.m., he sent another message. This time it took a darker tone and his intentions were clear as the sky was blue. He wrote, "I'm really nervous. I'm in the bathroom gearing up." On the outside, Perry High School bus driver, community leader and pastor of the Crossroads Church, Rick Gates, was back out transporting kids to the school. He dropped off the high school kids at Perry High School and went to the middle school afterward as a normal routine. He had no idea just a few minutes later they would be walking into a disaster that would change their lives forever.
I dropped off 2 or 3 students at the high school like minutes before this occurred, and then I go to the elementary and wait for a few minutes until it's time to unload.
2 minutes later, 7:32 a.m. Dylan sent another message with a racial slur writing, "There's a in the bathroom. I need him to leave so I can assemble my guns." It appeared Dylan was seeing this as a video game or something to poke fun about, but by now it was clear that he was set on carrying out this horrific act without fail. The young boy whom Dylan referred to in that message, who was in the bathroom, was a 9th grader and would later tell news reporters of the fear that overtook his body when he later realized he could have easily become his first victim because Dylan noticed him in the bathroom stall.
I spoke to one student who says if it wasn't for his intuition, he doesn't believe he would be alive today.
Woke up, normal day, took a shower, and then on my way to school. I walked in right away, went to the restroom to just stand there for a while until lunch or breakfast opened up. And as I was waiting there, I heard someone moving around, and I looked through the little crack in the stall, and I realized it was Dylan. And as he looked at me through the crack, he opened his duffel bag and hooked it up. And right away, like, I stood there for a couple more minutes, and my body just told me, like, you're not supposed to be here.
His instincts were right, and he left and moved to another bathroom. Dylan was now free to set up his arsenal and begin his onslaught within the school. He would take to his TikTok account, also under the username Took Too Much, posting a picture of him with the blue duffel bag at his feet and the caption, "Now we wait." What was even more ominous at this moment was the music playing over the post. It was accompanied by the song Stray Bullet by the German band KMFDM. The significance of this is that it's the same song used on the personal website of Eric Harris, one of the assailants involved in the 1999 Columbine High School massacre. The time is around 7:35 a.m., while school would not begin until 20 minutes later at 7:55 a.m. Some students and faculty were in the building to eat breakfast and participate in extracurricular activities. That must have been why Dylan was waiting. He wanted more persons to arrive to inflict the maximum number of casualties he could. However, his plans would change, maybe because the boy saw him, and he got spooked that he might have gone to inform a staff member about his suspicions and spoil his plans. So, the time frame of his attack was moved up. The clock strikes 7:37 a.m. The domino falls, cueing the series of unfortunate events to begin. Dylan decides he can't risk waiting any longer to enact his devious intentions. Armed with a pump-action shotgun and a small caliber handgun, he exits the bathroom ready to leave a trail of carnage in his wake. The boy who left the bathroom and went to another now finished washing his hands and turned the corner to the cafeteria when he heard the shots begin going off.
I went to the other restroom and used the restroom, and I washed my hands, and right as I left, I walked around the corner to the lunchroom, and I heard like 5 bangs.
Students who were in band practice at the time, and those in and near the cafeteria, recall the traumatizing moment when they realized the sound they were hearing wasn't that of a balloon pop or other miscellaneous object, but that of gunfire within the vicinity of school. And straight pandemonium and panic broke out.
15-year-old Isaiah Christensen and his 16-year-old sister Olivia were at jazz band practice.
You're in the middle of rehearsal,
and all of a sudden we hear this like loud pop, you know. People were thinking something fell. I thought like someone popped a balloon.
Our band teacher looked at us and he just goes, "Run." And like none of us hesitated. We just all got up and ran. Basically, we were finishing up jazz band, and my band teacher was walking us through one of our last songs. And then he was talking to us about it. And then right when he was about to finish, we heard 4 gunshots.
I walked towards the school, and I got inside the first doors of the high school, and I heard gunshots. Everyone started running, and they started yelling, "Run, run!" So we all started running. I started running back to the bus. Well, I just ran out the school, and then the bus driver that I was on, she said, get on the bus, everyone come on."
At first, the whole cafeteria went silent. Some recall a burning smell lingering in the air. Then, more shots continued, and the horror of the reality set in sending kids and teachers scrambling for safety. The associate principal, Brad Snogren, realizing the severity of the situation, immediately pushed the panic button implemented in the school for emergencies. This alerted authorities, who would spring into action to arrive at the school premises in the shortest time possible.
I think Mr. Snogren, if I'm not mistaken, associate principal, went in,
That got pressed right away, and I think it was within 7 minutes of getting the button pushed that we had law enforcement there.
It would take 7 minutes for the first dispatch unit to arrive to try and contain the attack, so students and staff had that time frame to try and stay alive. Some would make it out, some would be injured, and one would lose their life within that interval. The first victim of Dylan's rampage was 6th grader Amir Jolliffe, who was in the cafeteria. He was hit multiple times as Dylan turned to his next targets. Perry High School principal Dan Marburger, in an act of heroism, tried talking to and distracting the manic Dylan to buy time for students and staff members to escape. However, he became the next target to be slain when Dylan brandished his firearm and pulled the trigger repeatedly, hitting Dan multiple times about his body.
Tonight, we are learning more about just how amazing of a person Dan is, some even saying heroic. Claire sharing in her Facebook post that during the shooting, while others were running for safety, Dan approached the shooter, attempting to distract him so students could continue to run for safety. Dan's bravery and commitment to protecting children caused a reaction across the country.
2 now down and fighting for their lives, but Dylan wasn't satisfied. The attack continued over the next few minutes, creating a scene of mass anxiety and terror as everyone tried to find some place of solace from the crazed shooter.
Freshman student Philip Gray believes his friend was shot.
I think he was like close to the school shooter, so I'm guessing he probably got hit. Probably tried to run away.
Do you know how your friend is doing?
I'm praying that he's okay.
I cried. I cried like a baby for a bit because I just hurt for those kids, the administrators, the students at the high school, the ones arriving and hearing news and finding out that perhaps some of their friends were hurt, and for many of them it was some of their friends.
The 7 minutes were up, and police arrived at the scene of the onslaught to meet traumatized and shaken students and staff members. It was a rush to find the shooter and rescue all still trapped inside. The emergency calls recorded between Dallas County Sheriff dispatchers, deputies and EMS personnel paint a terrifying scene of what they found inside the school.
All units, Dallas County. We've got an active SEERS activation at Perry High School. We got somebody down in the hallway. There's blood.
Male subject down in the hallway. Appears to be self-inflicted. Gunshot wound. Unshowing other victims. Dallas subject that's down is deceased.
Copy. Subject down, deceased.
We're going to need multiple ambulances.
How many patients do we have on scene?
We have 2 in our truck. Reports of multiple inside.
Dallas, has Polk County been advised to advise all the hospitals of a possible mass casualty incident?
I am in command of EMS transport. We believe that we have our most critical out.
2 on scene, the principal and 6th grader, were in critical condition and rushed to the hospital to undergo emergency surgery.
Dr. Pelias said he's never dealt with a mass shooting event like this.
It's hard.
For hours after the first call came into the hospital shortly after 8 Thursday morning, Dr. Pelias' team implemented their mass casualty plan. With this strategy, their first priority was to stop the patient's bleeding. After that, a team of surgeons and nurses worked to address removing the bullets. Now, as for the conditions of the 3 victims that came into their care, I have an update for you guys. Now, the first victim, the Perry High School's principal, had immediate surgery on his multiple gunshot wounds. He's in the ICU and in critical condition. Now, for the second victim, a minor male, underwent surgery on his multiple gunshot wounds and is currently in the ICU as well.
Police found a lifeless Dylan Butler with a fatal wound, assuming it was the final act after the carnage. But what they found inside told of just how demented his true plans were.
Once inside, they located multiple individuals with gunshot wounds. Officers immediately attempted to locate the source of the threat and quickly found what appeared to be the shooter with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. As additional officers responded, a systematic search of the school took place. Officers located during the search of the school an improvised explosive device.
Dylan Butler had an explosive device that, thankfully, for whatever reason, he didn't use. In total, there were 5 students and 3 staff members who were injured, inclusive of the 6th grader and the principal. Sadly, the 6th grader, Amir Jolliffe, succumbed to his injuries.
This is Amir Joliffe, also known as Smiley. Amir's mother, Erica, told the Associated Press that Amir couldn't wait to start the new semester. The sixth grader would never make it to his first class.
Amir's mother is saying the sixth grader was a whirlwind of cheer and activity, who enjoyed playing soccer, the tuba, and sang in the choir. Erica, while grieving the loss of her son, is continuing to remember his bright spirit.
I never encountered anything like this in my life. It's overwhelming. It's hard for me to take in.
He says living amidst the war in Israel, the shooting in Iowa was the last thing he expected to hear about.
Like, 2 countries are at war, but my son's life gets taken at school? It's like, how do that make sense?
The scene of a school is supposed to be one of peace and smiling kids' faces, but at Perry High School, it was swarmed with flashing red and blue lights, a trail of ambulances, helicopters, and over 150 officers from local, state, and federal agencies, inclusive of the FBI and ATF. Parents were in shock. Students were in shock. Family members were in shock. The community of Perry was in shock.
I couldn't believe it. Honestly, I was just shook.
It was absolutely horrifying.
Among the survivors, Jody Kurth's stepson, Xander, who was grazed by a bullet during the shooting.
One of the worst moments of my entire life, but the best phone call I got was saying that they were okay.
I felt kind of stunned because I never thought in such a small town like Perry something like this would ever happen. It's just traumatizing because honestly, he could have just killed me then and there and I wouldn't be here right now.
If school isn't safe, where are we supposed to go besides our homes? Like, where are we supposed to get a good education?
Confused, shocked, scared. Like, I'm still shaking. Like, it's just, you don't think that it would happen in Perry. I mean, Perry's a tight-knit community.
The question now was, who was this Dylan Butler? Why did he carry out such a heinous crime? What motivated him to go off the edge? Soon friends of Dylan would reveal one reason that could have led to such a dark tragedy.
I've been going to that school my entire life and those kids would do horrible things to him.
He was a good person. He was hurting. He got tired. He got tired of the bullying. He got tired of the harassment. Was it a smart idea to shoot up the school? No. God, no. And I am mad at him for that. Lord knows I am mad at him for that. But do I think he should have taken his own life? No.
He was the kindest person ever. He was there for us when we needed him, and we tried to be there when he needed us, which clearly we weren't there for him enough.
According to them, Butler was bullied relentlessly since elementary school, but that was not all. The bullying allegedly escalated to his little sister being picked on, and when it was allegedly reported to the school, nothing was done. And Dylan was fed up with the harassment, with no resolution from those in authority. According to news reports, calls to Perry Community Schools Superintendent Clark Wicks, as well as school board members, were unanswered, and an emailed request for comment was not immediately returned. Reports state law officials were looking into this as a possible motive. Even if Dylan Butler wanted revenge on his bullies, the manner he went about it not only was asinine, but he also became the very thing he hated by taking the life of an innocent little boy. The days slowly lingered on, and as the community of Perry tried to cope, more disturbing findings began to surface that suggested this attack wasn't on a whim, but inspired by a deeper, darker mentality that manifested within Dylan for years. One student told NBC News roughly 2 years ago they told a guidance counselor that Dylan suggested they start a shootout with police. When asked the question in a conference, Perry Community School District Superintendent Clark Wicks denied ever knowing about anything of the sort.
Tonight, new questions about potential warning signs missed before that deadly school shooting in Perry, Iowa. One student telling NBC News roughly 2 years ago they told a guidance counselor that alleged shooter Dylan Butler suggested they start a shootout with police. The school district board president declined to comment.
I'm curious what your district did with that information.
I do not know that information. That is news to me, what you're sharing right there.
But the unearthed secrets didn't stop there. According to one Discord user, Dylan was part of a chat room dedicated to discussing school shootings called School Massacres Discussion. The person said they did not know Dylan personally, but told NBC News they had flagged the chat room to the FBI in November 2023, after which an FBI agent reached out over email and asked for more information. The user emailed the FBI agent screenshots of the server, but did not hear back. The chat room was closed before the shooting. When news agencies reached out to the FBI, they declined to comment. Looking deeper into his social media posts, more evidence of Dylan's infatuation with shootings and serial killers became apparent. In one post from an old Reddit account, Dylan can be seen posed up with a firearm with the caption, "My first revolver, Ruger Wrangler 22. In previous posts on his now-deleted TikTok account, Dylan has multiple disturbing videos. In December, just weeks before the shooting, Dylan posted a video of him sitting on a children's playground slide, with a friend pretending to be in a gunfight using sticks. While that could be marked off as boys being boys, the other videos that he shared tell a darker tale. Dylan can be seen emulating the cook from the horror movie, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer by repeating popular mannerisms and lines from various shows. It appears, even though Dylan appeared to his family to be okay, somewhere deeper in his consciousness lurked a different side that indulged in taking pleasure from gore and the actions of dark characters throughout history. Compounded with his ideas of shootouts, with police to being active in chat rooms discussing school shootings, and his alleged bullying for years and complaints to the school, how did the signs go unnoticed? Where does the blame fall? The school administration? The parents? Dylan Butler? Dylan was a proud LGBTQ activist and part of the community, according to his friends and his TikTok profile. But somewhere along the line, his mind broke, and the positive influence of an activist wanting to do good became the demented actions of a lunatic that traumatized a community. Dylan was gone, but his actions still plagued Perry, Iowa. Sadly, 10 days after being wounded and undergoing multiple surgeries to try and save his life, Principal Dan Marburger succumbed to his injuries, making the death toll from the attack rise to 2.
It's been 10 days since a school shooting in Perry, Iowa killed a 6th grade student and injured 7 others, including Perry High School's longtime principal, Dan Marburger. Earlier today, Marburger's family shared on a GoFundMe page he has passed away. Marburger's family thanked him for giving them, quote, 10 days that they will treasure forever. Marburger had been the principal at Perry High School since 1995. He was regarded as a hero for his intervention during the school shooting.
Marburger's family announced his death on a GoFundMe page Sunday morning. The post said, quote, at approximately 8 a.m. January 14th, Dan lost his battle. He fought hard and gave us 10 days that we will treasure forever.
He was amazing to us students, especially the seniors. He's the epitome of what a principal and someone who's in the educating business should be.
Dylan's parents, Jack and Erin Butler, were undoubtedly experiencing a wave of emotions, knowing it was their son's actions that impacted the place they call home. His parents have been fixtures of the Perry community. His father is the director of the city's airport after serving as its public works director for years, where he won praise for helping clean up Perry after a devastating windstorm in 2020. His mother has also owned a small business and served on a city development board. They would break their silence, releasing a statement January 8, 2024 to the public through their attorney.
His parents' statements say they are devastated by what happened and had no inkling of the horrible violence that was going to follow after they dropped their son Dylan off at school Thursday. They went on to say that Dylan had been discussing future plans and that it felt like he was ready to get back to school after Christmas vacation. Their daughter was also in the school at the time of the shooting. Jack and Erin Butler added, quote, we cannot repay the grace that we have been shown in public and private. We are helping authorities and will continue to help to provide answers to the question of why our son committed this senseless crime.
With elections slowly approaching, political figures made it their duty to comment on the trauma and bloodshed experienced in the Perry community, promising they would provide better, but how long has this same old tale been sung from their tongue?
Definitely all eyes are on Iowa right now, and as Iowans will contribute to a very crucial part of the 2024 presidential race. However, today's tragedy is something that all of Iowa is feeling, so here are how the candidates reacted today.
Donald Trump is running for his issues. Nikki Haley's running for her donors' issues. I'm running for your issues. I'm running for your family's issues. I'm running for this country's issues. That's my sole focus. That gives us the best opportunity to actually deliver results.
And nearly 1 in 5 transgender individuals are aged 13 to 17. How do we reconcile how Iowa will use the mental health funds when you look at how Governor Reynolds aligns with Ron DeSantis?
We have got to acknowledge the cancer that is mental health. Because 80% of mass shooters have been found that they were going through a mental health crisis when it happened. So when I told you again that we're going to move those federal funds down, the reason you move them down is because you want to be able to make sure that the states know best what support they need and where. I'll work on healthcare to make sure things are covered.
We're going to focus on making sure that we provide the resources that the community, the teachers, the staff, those that are involved, the families, that we're providing the resources that they need.
While the president and this administration have taken historic action to reduce gun violence, more must be done to keep our schools and communities safe. Congress must act to enact universal background checks, ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, require safe storage of firearms, end the gun industry's immunity from liability, and pass a national red flag law.
The number of school shootings has been on the rise, but promises of putting things in place never seem to materialize as both sides hold different views and strategies that clash instead of working together to alleviate the issue. Students were tired of hearing words void of action and took it upon themselves to turn out in their numbers, descending upon the state capitol to demand legislation to take action against gun violence.
Hundreds of high schoolers from across Iowa descending on the state capitol Monday to make their voices heard. Student protesters accusing Governor Reynolds of inaction on gun violence that has created a sense of fear in Iowa schools.
Gun violence has become normalized in our country. Students living in fear has become normalized.
Iowans have had enough of prayers. We need action. You, Governor Reynolds, have the power to create meaningful change. You have the power to save more lives from being senselessly stolen in this state.
The bigger issue here is the question lingering on what the school can control, but allegedly failed to: bullying. Maybe if it was pulled from the root before Dylan's anger and frustration had time to bloom, the outcome would be different. Dylan Butler committed an unspeakable act. But I ask this: if your child is being bullied and nothing is being done to stop it at the school level, what then would be your action? Comment the solution you believe could have worked and avoided this tragedy. May the Perry community find their way through this time of grief, and all those affected somehow heal and be able to look to the future, one where these occurrences are a thing of the past and students can gain their education without fear. May the souls of Dan Marburger, Amir Jolliffe and Dylan Butler find peace in their passing, and their families find peace in the life left behind. This has been an episode of Mysteries, where true stories from around the world come to life. What stories come next? Like, share, comment, and subscribe to never miss what intriguing chronicles will be told.